Okay, abusua bɛma makɔ aba sonko so ɛde POG Media so yɛde mɛkɔ political highway ne so highway ne deɛ ɛnsɛm bebree wɔ so a yɛn nso yɛagye pene sɛ ɛbɛmi abadwafoɔ no ahu deɛ ɛrekɔ ɛne deɛ ɛreba. Abusua yɛn mbɔnwura ɛyɛ yɛn nsɛm mu no ɛyɛ Mantse ɛde ɛnsɛm bi aba abɛto gya ne nsɛm a ɔde aba abɛto gya no ɔkyerɛ sɛ John Dramani Mahama aba power yi ɛyɛ Cecilia Dapaa ne scandal na kyerɛ sɛ operation recover all loot for no ɔmo ahyɛ ase yɛ ho investigations no ɔno ɛbɛboa ɔmo ama ɔmo ayɛ saa investigations na ɔno no saa investigations no ɔmo nyɛ nwie a ɔno no ɔnda nnɛ ɛma obi nda bi ɔno no ɔnyɛ n'adwene sɛ ɔbɛda cause Cecilia Dapaa sika no deɛ ɛyɛ sɛ ɔrecover saa sika no nyinaa nti no evidence bi a ɔwɔ a ɔpɛ sɛ ɔde boa ɛyɛ oratimfoɔ no wayɛ ready sɛ ɔbɛpuli da evidence na busua yɛn nsɛm mmrɛ no mom yɛnkɔ na yɛnkɔ tie nsɛm a ɛkɔɔs na ansa na yɛbɛkɔ no wɔ nsɛm kan bi afa hyɛ yɛ comment section ni mu like na hyɛ ma afoforɔ nso no nsa ntumi nka bi aha ɛyɛ POG Media so political trending stories a make waves no yɛn nso yɛagye atom sɛ yɛde bɛbrɛ mu medam ase.
That is President John Dramani Mahama during the inauguration earlier in the week. If you're just joining us, this is Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and a number of radio stations across the country. You hear President John Mahama talk about the country moving from crisis to crisis, and also what we are faced with right now as a people. About a week ago, the former president, Akuffo, talked about the economic strides and then, in fact, the health of this economy that he is leaving behind for John Dramani Mahama. He says he's leaving a Ghana that is working and then also an economy that is doing well. But there are many who have pointed to the outcome of the 2024 elections as a verdict of the Ghanaian people on the state of the economy. Because going into that election, the economy was the most important issue for the many voters who went out there to vote, as was revealed by surveys and polls by Global Info Analytics, the NCCE, Bawumia survey, all pointing to the economy. So what is the real state of affairs? We're going to put it out there for you to see. And the recovery that we are also recording and experiencing as a country. At what cost did it come, especially to the Ghanaian people? And how is the next 12 months going to look like? As John Mahama has hit the ground running, nominating his finance minister already, as was widely speculated, Dr. Cecilia saying, shouldering that singular responsibility of resetting the economy as John Mahama promised. But we are getting into a fiscal year, or we are in a fiscal year that we're going to start servicing our external debts, which takes over 50% of our domestic revenue. We're going to start paying our debts. How much will be left of us if this administration is going to borrow? From the financial analyst perspective, what are some of the conditionalities they should be pushing for? It certainly wouldn't come for free. We have seen the impact of the conditionalities of some of the loans that we have taken and how it has impacted on us as a people. That is the conversation we're going to be having this morning. The Operation Recover All Loot also have a role to play because already we understand that the money that they will retrieve is supposed to be used for economic development. But what have they done so far? One of the members of the team will be joining us in a bit. But joining me in studio is Joe Jackson. He's a member of, in fact, he's the CEO of Dalex Finance and also a financial analyst with international repute. Mr. Joe Jackson, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I wonder when you said member, I was only member of which one? You are soon to be a member.
But good to be here.
Anyway, it's good to have you, as always. And also joining me is the Honorable Edward Bauer, is a former Member of Parliament for the Bongo constituency, but also is a member of the committee that, on energy and natural resources that was set up or has been set up by the John Mahama administration to look into the state of affairs of the energy sector handed over to this administration and what the way forward would look like. He's not new to the energy ministry, as a matter of fact. He was a member of the Mines and Energy Committee of the 8th Parliament, so he understands the workings of this particular sector that we're talking about. Honorable Edward Bauer, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's good to have you. Let me also, in a bit, Professor Ransford Jampo, is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon, is going to be joining us. Also, Martin Bibu, who's a private legal practitioner and a member of the Operation Recover All Loot preparatory team. He will also be joining us. And then we would have a conversation on this. And Yapiakubi, who is a former member of parliament for the Santiachim North constituency as well, will be joining us this morning. But, Mr. Jackson, I was having a conversation with you earlier. You indicated that if John Mahama is able to recover, really identify, confirm, prosecute, and recover loot, it will be enough for him. Ghanaians will be happy and satisfied with him. What exactly do you mean by that?
Listen, I think there will be general agreement that corruption has been the bane of this country for a long time. And corruption, in a lot of ways, all our challenges, right, are exaggerated by corruption. The estimates that we lose up to 40% of all we spend on anything, infrastructure, consumption, whatever, it goes away with corruption. So if the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, can recover loot, then he has struck the first proper blow against corruption in this country. And that will make a significant difference. That will make Ghanaians feel that, and remember that if he did nothing else at all, but gave us a sense that he had fought corruption, then he would have a legacy to leave. Because our economic challenges are all exaggerated. The corruption is the catalyst. Corruption is the big problem. So when we talk about Operation Recover All Loot, it's really that huge blow against corruption. It serves two purposes. It serves to recover, of course, the loot from the previous government, if it can be proven that they have taken any loot. And best of all, it also gives an indication to the incoming appointees that you better behave properly. Otherwise, in another dispensation, they'll be recovering your loot. I'm happy to say I'm a big supporter of Operation Recover All Loot. I'm a big supporter of it. We need something different in our fight against corruption in this country. And so that's why I say, if he does that, succeeds at that, his legacy will be cemented.
I say, but what do you say to those who raise issues about that approach, that it has no legal foundation, and it's just meant to harm the previous administration, persons in there? It's going to be used as a weapon of vendetta and so on.
My opinion is that we shouldn't even seek to jail anybody. Just bring the cash. Let's use alternate dispute resolution approach. Listen, going to the court will tie us up for years and years and won't serve any purpose. We have the evidence of the cases that are still in court now, some for over 8 years and nothing has happened. Let's just recover the loot. That's what it says, recover the loot. It doesn't say operation jail somebody. I believe let's recover it. There are examples from other jurisdictions, from Saudi Arabia, from Nigeria, where they recovered the loot. Let's recover the loot. It's the money we want. Listen, if we attempt to jail, suppose I had had the opportunity to take some loot away. The moment you try and jail me, my chief will appear. My hometown youth group will appear. My church will stand by me, and it will go on and on and on and on. Let's negotiate. Let's recover the loot. Let's move on.
Well, I don't know if the member of this Operation Recover All Loot preparatory team will agree with you. He's a private legal practitioner. Lawyer Martin People, I mentioned earlier, is going to be joining us. Good morning, Counsel. Welcome. Mr. Jackson is that focus on the loot and leave the prosecution. But then again, you would also understand why some would disagree, because there has to be a deterrent. If it was just about taking money that had been allegedly stolen and not punish the people who stole them, what would deter anybody from stealing money? Counsel.
Okay, great. So, Mr. Counsel, a brief greeting to the usual constituents.
As expected.
So today we'll use It Is Possible Radio People First, 38.2 FM.
In fact, that has been
It Is
corrected.
Possible Radio. Lebene Ahiabwen, Zion Farms and the people on Facebook. Yes.
But because of the statement you made yesterday, the Electoral Commission put out some information about that 38.2.
Yeah. The beginning. I think the last time I watched, it was around 41 point.
41 point. Yes. Over 41%.
Exactly.
For Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Good. Yeah. But the first cycle, so you see, like I said, let's have some light movements. It can't always be crunching numbers like Joe Jackson, etc. Let's have light movements a bit. They've said it's 38.2 FM. It is possible radio. So at least.
I'm just saying now you can change the dial.
Okay, so we should make it 41 point something.
Just to
FM.
Reflect the information.
All right, no problem. So let me know about the people on Facebook, our supporters. They say let's change the frequency to 41 point something FM. Okay, all right. Yeah, so then, as usual, let's greet Mantse. Mantse has done a yeoman's job by standing up when a lot of chiefs were quiet. Mantse says he's not resting until we get justice in the Cecilia Dapaa matter. And sure, thankfully, at least we're on the right path to that. I'm sure in the coming months we'll see what can be done. Adeyo Ajimabedu II, thank you for also standing up and talking about bad governance when most people were quiet. People's mouths were full. They said it is a bad manners to talk whilst eating. So they were busy eating. Okay, now they finished eating. And Ghanaians have been what? Left short. So Chief Justice of Akuffo.
And they will be doing so coming soon, respect it.
A prophecy or a carefully calculated attempt. The sudden revelation of a looming energy crisis just hours after the new government took office has left many questioning the motives behind it. And this viral video of the MPP Deputy Communications Director, Ernest Owusu-Bempah, just days after the party's electoral defeat, has got tongues wagging.
Doing so will be coming soon. There will be a lot of serious economic hardship coming soon. And I'm being prophet, I'm prophesying. Tell me, I'm prophesying.
Just a day after the inauguration of the new President John Dramani Mahama, the country woke up to a shocking revelation. Only 5 hours of fuel left for electricity generation in the country.
Current stock available 225 cubic meters of light crude oil to last for 5 hours with AXA. On average, they require about 4 weeks to treat the fuel. That is when the fuel has landed in their tanks. Today is 8th, 20th, the pipeline will be shut. So even if you bring fuel today, you require those days to treat the fuel.
And while some are busy pointing accusing fingers, Ghanaians are simply not buying the idea of another era of doom so. And so government has set the ball rolling, organizing an emergency meeting to solve the problem. In this last-minute reprieve, government has negotiated a 2-week extension with the West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, for the maintenance of the critical gas pipeline connecting Nigeria to Ghana.
Right now, we are still working to get commitment, but there is a possibility of a slight deferral. It won't be the full month, but we're looking at up to potentially 2 weeks deferral in the start of the operation.
The gas pipeline, a lifeline for Ghana's electricity supply, was initially slated for maintenance on January 20. However, with the clock ticking down, the government is faced with a daunting challenge: procuring and processing crude oil within an impossibly short time frame. The standard 8-week procurement and processing period seemed like an insurmountable hurdle, leaving the nation on a brink of a potential energy crisis. And so government's agreement with WAPCO to postpone the maintenance will provide a breathing space. However, it remains to be seen whether government can procure the necessary crude oil within this extended time frame. President John Dramani Mahama, however, promises to keep the lights on.
There's a threat of power outages, but my brothers and sisters, don't despair. Like I said, you elected us to solve the problems, not to put the blame on anybody else. We would make sure that your lights stay on and that we do not have doomsday, as you popularly call it.
But whilst this matter is still in contention, there lies an even bigger challenge. Ghana's electricity generation capacity is facing an unprecedented test, with the country's reliance on thermal energy or power set to increase exponentially. Currently, Ghana's hydroelectric power output, sourced mainly from the Akuffo and Bui dams, has been reduced in order to avert another spillage. This leaves thermal power as the primary source of electricity. However, with the gas pipeline maintenance yet to occur and the previous government's failure to procure crude oil, there's certainly a looming crisis. To compound matters, Ghana's energy demand is projected to skyrocket in 2025, with the Energy Commission forecasting a requirement of 16,997 gigawatts-hour of thermal power. This represents a significant increase from the 14,524 gigawatts provided in 2024 and the 14,199 in 2023. Clearly, the country's energy ministry is at a crossroads, and as government scrambles to find a solution, the nation holds its breath. Will this administration be able to navigate this treacherous energy landscape and find a lasting solution to Ghana's power generation woes? Only time will tell. Judith Brown.
And of course, let's head over to Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament, Alba Sumana Kingsford Babing, is orienting new members of Parliament for different constituencies.
Your election as members of Parliament presents you with the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the quality of lives of Ghanaians and the development of Ghana as a country. This is an onerous responsibility, difficult to fulfill. It demands a lot of attention and sacrifice. Sacrifice of oneself and family, but is always also rewarding, not materially, but in reputation and dignity. This orientation is to also give you a good beginning, a solid foundation, and a dependable ladder to climb. So I urge you, as others have done, to pay attention and take advantage of it. This is the first opportunity to also let you break the ice. You've already been told you have to make new friends and build a parliamentary family. Surprising, some of you might have heard, and you may think that it's rumor. It's not rumor. There are some parliaments where we have real lovers, from different sides of the house moving together. It's true. I led them here. I knew them. I spoke to them. Yeah, whatever you do here, you can't escape my vigilant eyes. And any of you who wants to test me one day, and I'll tell you where you went last night. Don't be surprised, because and I've moved around, and so many people know me. And you don't move alone. You live in a society. And those you interact with, they interact with me. So wherever you go, you do something, they'll call me and say, oh, your MP was here. And that's what is that happened? Which MP? Then they mention the name. So I get to know. And my staff will tell you sometimes how I surprise them with some revelations. So please, I'm very, very vigilant person, very watchful. I may not be looking at you, but I'll be seeing you. So please try and make new friends and build a parliamentary family. You will depend on each other even after here. So it's very, very important to do so. Your political differences notwithstanding, your future depends on how you build new bridges here and how you conduct your life as a leader of your people. I was with John Kerry when he was contesting to be the President of the United States, because we were together as members of the Parliamentarians for Global Action. His wife was in the Republican Party, but when she got married to John Kerry, she has to cross to become what? A Democrat. Ghana, I know people who belong to different sides and yet they are married. And that presents a challenge to their children. And so the children, some too are MPP and some are NDC. And that's one of the challenges we have for the independent members of Parliament. Because we say we are practicing a concept of multi-party democracy. So the language is always talking about party, but they are independent, which is also allowed in democracies.
Interesting comments from Speaker of Parliament Alban Babing there as he is orienting new MPs. We are taking our first break, but when we are back, we'll take you to a DRA where we are learning.
Political highway, so a Mantse and HSL or Chase, why ready or die at the ama a uratu no netese waboa omo amomwa richu sikabia Cecilia Dapaa ewia bia ntino eye gamanche na hante eye Cecilia Dapaa oje no ho kra enje na busu ayensem mrene beda masese moje pene kokoti sa audio yi e de mai aha POG Media so beda masese